Hi, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is the Star Wars Vintage Guy coming to you from across the galaxy. Thought I'd start this episode off sharing a special memory with you. What I want to do is kind of explain this photograph. Here's me in 1981. It says special birthday box for Jeremy. And I told you part of the series that I'm doing is also to share some stories along the way. So before we open up my final box of Star Wars toys and vintage action figures, here is the next photograph of my birthday party. My mother made me a Darth Vader cake with black icing, and she took one of my old Halloween masks and put that on there. And in the background, you can see there's Lobot, Dengar, the Hoth Rebel Commander, Ugg Knot, and 21B. In the last episode, episode 2, I found that 21B with his head missing or knocked off. And here's me blowing out the candles of my cake. Probably the most special birthday that I had that I can remember. I remember we were all sitting around having cake, just enjoying the day, and there was a knock on the door. And we were all like, whoa, what's that? You know, and my mom's like, oh, come on, let's go open the door and stuff like that. So she walks me over to the front door. Everybody else is eating cake and stuff like that. And we opened the door, and it's my dad. And I thought he was working, couldn't make the party and stuff like that. And he hands me this box. And this box is like bigger than me. And it says, my special birthday box for Jeremy. I can see that's my mother's handwriting on there. And I open this thing up, and it is filled with The Empire Strikes Back, carded figures and all sorts of figures carded from the original series, the Kenner line, back in 1981. It was the most awesome birthday ever. Erica Whitler was there. She had 3 pieces of cake and ended up throwing up. Her brother is there next to me in the picture, and of course my good buddies Bones, John Brunner, and Greg Beaver were there and stuff too, all celebrating the day. And my brothers, John and David. All right, so let's get to it. Let's get to the final box that we have today. This is the third and final box that I have, I believe, vintage figures that I had from my childhood. So let's get to it. Let's open this thing up and let's see who is on here. All right, who's in here? All right, I've got the first one here. This is Lobot. He was actually at the party with me, yes. So 40 years later, here's the original Lobot. He doesn't have his gun, but that's him. He was there in the picture. Let's see what else we got. This is EV-99, one of Jabba's henchman robots that I believe came in a set. I don't think I got him on the Power of the Force card. He came in Jabba's dungeon along with, I think, Amanaman and Barada, who I had in the last episode. We found him. Here is Return of the Jedi. I've got the Rancor Keeper with his staff. If you remember, he was a pretty sweet one. You had to have him to control this guy right here. Snarl, get back in the cage. All right, so that was his keeper. He was kind of a unique figure. I've got two Klaatu's here. These guys, again, with the Return of the Jedi line, they came out with that really cool soft goods. I think there's a variant of this. There's like 2 different masks or something like that, but you know, I don't remember what they were. We always used to make fun of this guy because we'd say those capes, those soft good capes, were actually, you know, diapers and stuff like that. But that was one of the big changes that they had in the last line, where they started to introduce a lot of the soft goods. Let's see. This is Rhomba. He is one of the Ewoks that was last produced. He was on a Power of the Force coin. I remember that. Real neat figure. A lot of pieces. He came with a staff or something that's not in there. My favorite here was, of course, who was also in that box, not on the cake, but this is Han Solo in Bespin gear with his blaster. My friend Josh in college, I took one of, this is a new one. This isn't my original one. My original one, Josh, for whatever reason, thought it would be fun to light on fire. So he did that, but he was kind enough to buy me a new one. All right, here is, I think this is AD8. This is another one of Jabba's droids. He's got these great pinchers. I think this guy also came in another Jabba's dungeon set. I don't think I got him on a card. I think I got him from Jabba's dungeon. I've got two R5D4s here. Again, this is from the original Star Wars line. They stopped producing a lot of these around the Jedi. Just because they're harder to get, the original ones. I know that there's like a red bar variant on this. This isn't those, but there's a nice clean one here, and there's one that's been definitely through the ringer and seen a lot of carbon scoring. Here is, I believe this is Nikto. He is with his staff there. In this one here, Nikto came with, I believe, 88 in that Jabba's dungeon. So I've got that Jabba's dungeon somewhere. Here is Sny Snoodles in the Max Rebo band. We found Max in one of the first episodes, I think episode 1 or episode 2. Here is, she's got her microphone. I loved this original version of Sny Snoodles. I know that they made a remake, and it was never the same. Part of the glory was the puppets and manipulating them, and I thought it was just fantastic. Her song and the original band. Here are 2 original X-Wing Lukes. I don't see his blaster. I think he came with a blaster in these. One of them is nice and clean. The other one is a little beat up. He's seen some action, which is great. He led the Rebel Alliance, blew up the Death Star. Let's see what here. Oh, my Bib Fortuna. Bib Fortuna is in 2 pieces here. He's missing his staff and his head popped off. So may have to replace Bib Fortuna before too long. I have 2 Emperor's Royal Guards here. These were always cool ones. They came with a Force Pike. Their head did not move as with like the Stormtroopers, but by far these guys protected the Emperor. Such a great figure. Again, this soft goods that were their capes. Super cool figures. I really enjoyed those guys. Let's see. I've got 2 Vaders in here. All right. These are a little bit better shape. They don't have their lightsabers. The capes are much better, and these are much cleaner figures. Really cool. But again, they don't have the capes and stuff that, or the sabers that came with them. I never knew, like growing up, that there was a variation of the sabers. I never knew that there was like a, what is it, the telescoping saber. I didn't know that as a kid growing up. That was way before my time. And so you just had the regular ones. So I know I don't have those variants. And I know those go for big bucks. Here is a Dulok Scout. These came out with the Ewok series, the cartoon series. He's a cool looking dude. He's got a lot of gruff. He kind of was one of the bad guys. He's got a club there. He came with a coin. That was a neat one. Here are 2 of the Rebel Commanders. If you remember the picture that I started off with, these are, one of them is the original one from that cake. So he made it through. And this is one of those Empire Strikes Back cards that came out. And that was for my 5th birthday. Good stuff. Ooh, I've got a variety of Ugg Knots here. One of these guys was on there too. Okay, so these are 3 of the Ugg Knots. These were the guys that helped run that Bespin Cloud Car City, the Carbon Freezing Chamber. They had like a purse with them. I thought, what a weird accessory for these guys. But, you know, who knows? Maybe there's a medical kit in there. But there is, these look like they're both purple variants. I know that there's also a blue one, that blue apron that some of these guys had. Again, this is like the first time that it transitioned from those capes, those plastic capes, to the soft goods. Here is a Frozen Empire Strikes Back. This is from Boba Fett's Slave One, Boba Fett's ship. You've got Han Solo and Frozen Carbonite. I've got another one of these in the episode 1 or episode 2 that we opened. That was exclusive to the Slave One. Here are 2 Hammerheads. Hammerhead was by far one of the coolest Cantina creatures, and so I've got 2 of them in there from the original line. I think you could get a Hammerhead and a Greedo in one of the adventure sets, and it came with a Snaggletooth. Now, kind of with the telescoping lightsaber, I didn't have a blue Snaggletooth. I never got one. That came with the Sears exclusive. That stuff, when I was growing up, is like legendary stuff. If you had a blue Snaggletooth, like, man, you were like the ultimate collector. Because they never produced it for a long time. And that was how it was with a lot of the toys and stuff. Like the original Death Star and Darth Vader's ship that came out, his cruiser in The Empire Strikes Back. They stopped making that stuff. So if you never got it from the original like line, that was it. So if you knew somebody that had that, well, that was good. All right, later on, they came out with this Droid series in like the late 80s, trying to keep the Star Wars momentum alive, but it was obviously done after Jedi. Again, you got this kind of like punkish figure. This is Thol Jabin. He's a speeder racer. I thought, man, again, talked about this last episode. You got kind of this punk hairdo. He's like a muscle man, which was this big transition in the 80s with action figures. I thought it'd be a great series if they could connect that to the Book of Boba Fett. In that same Droid series, they revitalized C-3PO, and they redid his take-apart C-3PO action figure. This is one of the ones that I thought was super cool. It came with a coin. There is a variant with a coin. This one's the protocol droid. I know there's another variant that just says droids on the coin, which is what was supposed to go with the figures. But so there's a transitional variant in there too. This is the protocol droid. Again, this is one of the coolest figures that was to come out of that line. I got the Bespin Guard. This came out with The Empire Strikes Back. He is probably in that box that my parents got me for my 5th birthday. And here is the black variant. This looks like, I think this is Lobot. I think he is a Power of the Force Ewok. He came out at the end of the line, Return the Jedi Power of the Force, and real cool one. I think he comes with a bow and arrow, because on this backside, he's got a pouch with arrows. His bow isn't in there. It might be in a bag of weapons somewhere on there. Oh, here I've got 2 more Bespin Hans that with the blaster in there. Again, one of my favorite figures growing up. Here is a Droopy Mccool. Droopy Mccool is missing his flute. I know that he was part of the Max Rebo band, so that completes all 3 of those characters. And then, let's see what else we got here. We got another Rancor Keeper. He is missing his hood. Let's see what else we got in here. We have 2 original Yodas. All right, Yoda the Jedi Master. No collection is complete without Yoda the Jedi Master. So in this, both of these variants have the orange snake. They've got the soft goods. They've got these ones. Look, if you look at the eyes, these are kind of like just the regular orange eyes. I know there's another variant where they've got like Pac-Man eyes, what they call them, and it's just a different paint job. And these are the orange snakes, not the brown. I think those were probably with the Empire cards. All right. These are my battle-worn Han Solo original figures. All right, so you've got big head Han, and then there's a small head Han. There's a variants of those too. This one was the original one that we had, and I think my dog got to it and chewed part of its head off or something like that. It's super glued on there, and it just doesn't fit right. His head is really cocked back on there, but we super glued that on there. We saved him. He's got his blaster in there. There's only one blaster in there, but that's that original blaster, which is the same, I think, as some of the other figures. You got the original Death Star Imperial, what do they call this guy? He was the Death Star Imperial Death Squad Commander, I think was the original name for this guy. And then they had to change it, like in Empire. They transitioned the card and he became the Imperial Commander or something like that. But they totally switched the name from that Death Squad Commander to Commander. This is another Droids line. This was, again, you've got this punky kind of like look. He's got that vest, which, like, you know, around Marty McFly was really popular at that time for the Back to the Future. He's got big muscles. He's got a headband on. This was Jan Tosh. It says he's an adventurer. He's got some wristbands on there, you know, sporting some different colors. This was totally a sign of the times of what the 80s were back in that time period. To go along with that series was this really cool kind of like creature. This is like a underworld Tig Fromm, I think, who this one is. He was a neat one. You know, he was kind of like the antagonist of the episode. Again, this is kind of harder to get at the end. He has these claws, and he's got these great feet here that were also kind of like claws and stuff too. So that's Tig Fromm. I can't remember if he came with a weapon or not, but he was super hard to get at the end of the line. I remember my dad found him. It's like, oh, look at this guy. All right, so here is Greedo. I've got one upside down. This Greedo is missing an antenna. He's been through some battles. I think Han shot it off first. And then here is another Greedo here that looks in much better shape. I know that there's some variants and stuff with those too, but I think those are just regulars. Here is another Ewok. I can't remember what this Ewok's name is off the top of my head. He has another headdress. He's got a satchel of bows and arrows too, so I think he came with one, a bow and arrow too. This is a like Power of the Force line at the end. Here is by far one of the coolest action figures from the Droid line. This was Size Fromm. Again, super hard to get, soft goods. He didn't come with any weapons either, but he was kind of like the antagonist of the episode, the Droid series. He worked with Boba Fett, I think, and Tig Fromm, and they kind of ran the underworld. Again, I thought in that Boba Fett re-release, if they could somehow incorporate those characters, that would be super cool. There's my Dengar. He made it to the birthday party too. He's in one of the pictures there. You know, one of the original bounty hunters that has no lines in the film or anything like that, but just kind of standing there. He looks all bandaged up. He's in the Return of the Jedi in the background too, at the cantina. You don't really know if he gets blown up or not, but definitely one of the coolest figures. Coolest bounty hunters. All right, here we go. Here is the Bespin Guard White. I know that was also in that box that my parents got me for my 5th birthday, and he is one of these mustaches. I don't know. There's like a long mustache and there's a short mustache variant on him. I don't know which one this is, but I do know that's a variant. He's got his gun in there. Oh, by far one of the coolest. Hoth Rebel Trooper. Such a great figure. There is I think there's a gun mixed in there somewhere. I don't know if that's the original one that he comes with. I don't remember if he comes with a blaster. This guy also got his head blasted off on the left here. He has his head super glued. This one here is good. He can still fight some battles and stuff like that, but definitely one of the coolest figures that came out. He's got like his vest on. He's got his comlink on this thing. There's another greatest of the greats. This is Hoth Han. He's got his blaster there. I know